Hey folks, we are working on another cloud pour today, and this cloud pour is inspired by my slop bucket. So I have a couple of paints here. I'll explain the ones that I'm using, but the reality is a lot of these are slop bucket paints, and I just scraped them up and put them in a container, and I like them a lot. So these are mostly from the fiery paintings I've been doing lately. Apparently, when you mix lots of golds and coppers and reds and black together or brown together, what you end up with is a various shades of brown. So this first one is kind of like a milk chocolate. I think that's what we're going to start with in our cup because I did a test piece. Here it is. It's right here. I love the way this one turned out. It is very shiny and very delicious. It is also very copper, which is not necessarily what I was going for, but I used a ton of copper and my other paints sank. I had a brown, my brown was a little bit too thick, and so the brown ended up sinking in a lot of spaces and the copper kind of popped up, which is beautiful. Not exactly what I was going for. What I was going for was more like hot chocolate or s'mores or, coffee, like when you pour cream in the coffee and it comes bubbling up to the surface. That's kind of what I was thinking of for this. So I did add more browns in, and I'm not using copper except maybe a little bit. I have copper hanging out somewhere over there just in case I need it. So anyway, let's go through my slop bucket paints. Oh, I should also say too, when I got my first slop bucket, which was this one, which is this beautiful, rich, chocolatey brown, I was immediately thinking yes, I love this color. I want to use it in a cloud pour. And I thought of Tiffany from Willie B Studios has this really, she does amazing cloud pours. Absolutely go to Willie B Studios on YouTube, Willie and the letter B, Willie B Studios. Absolutely amazing cloud pours. And I remembered that I had watched one that she did that was very much like a cup of cappuccino or whatever. And so I went back and watched it again. And that helped me figure out how I wanted to layer this to get the look that I wanted. So, shout out to Tiffany from Willie B. Your videos are awesome. Okay, so the colors. Slop bucket number 1, milk chocolate. Gorgeous. Sometimes slop buckets are where it's at, And apparently it's where I'm at right now because I have lots of slops that I have to use. Okay, so ignore the colors on the side of the cup. This was the slop bucket from, I did a fiery solstice pour, a big one, and I ended up with a lot of slop. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh yes, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want. It's like this rich, dark chocolate color. There are red and copper tones in it because there was this little piggy grenache and this little piggy cinnamon in there. So I was a little worried that it was going to dry a little bit red, but I kind of did a color swatch of my slop buckets, and it's drying over there, and you can see it just looks like a rich dark brown. And I did add a smidge of burnt umber because I was worried about it being too red, but this is the final result. Slop bucket dark chocolate espresso, excuse me. Whatever, it's beautiful. I love it. Okay, this next one is Amsterdam Naples yellow red light, and I added a bit of my burnt umber because that's the brown that I have to darken it up a little bit so it's a bit more creamy and a bit less yellowy reddy. All right, this one is my it's Vallejo Pearl Medium with Amsterdam, excuse me, Artist Loft Soft Body Acrylics in white and Floetrol. If you want all of the recipes and, colors and everything, they're listed in the video description. Okay, this next one is Burnt Umber by Liquitex. And then finally we have my third slop bucket. This was actually the first one that I got. This is the one that inspired the entire palette. Yay, slop buckets. Okay, so that's my colors. I am going to make a little bit of room and get myself ready to fill up a cup. I will be right back. I have my cup ready to go. This cup, if you fill it all the way up to the top, is 16 ounces. I'm working on a 20 inch by 20 inch canvas. Yeah? 20 inch by 20 inch? Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. Double checking my canvases. Yeah, 20 inch by 20 inch canvas. And I need about 17 and a half ounces of paint. So what I'm going to do is fill this all the way up, and then I will put some extra down on the canvas just to help as a flow extender afterwards. And that'll get me to all of the ounces that I need. So I am going to start with slop bucket number 1, the milk chocolatey kind of color. So we'll just go right in. I'm not going to put an absolute ton in. We're just going to get a smidge. Is that a smidge? It's probably a smidge. Okay. So that's slop bucket number 1. Okay, slop bucket number 2. Don't do me wrong. We're going to add in slop bucket number 2, our dark chocolate espresso color. And you'll notice when I'm putting these in, it's probably good just to start. I always go down the same path. And I've noticed when I pour out my cloud pours, the way your cloud pour comes out depends in large part on how you pour it from the cup. Let me pull over a painting and explain something. Okay, so I've got this piece that was a test piece, and when I was pouring it, like, you get clouds on either side of the ribbons that are coming out of the cup. But I noticed in this one, like, there was really strong clouding on one side, and the other side is kind of lacking in clouding. And I was like, oh, what causes that? And I've noticed that in a couple of my paintings now. And so I went back and watched the videos. One of the bonuses with watching videos or with recording yourself is you can watch what you did and see what went wrong and where it went wrong and how it went wrong. And what I found is I tend to like twist my cup a little bit, and it changes it so it's not pouring directly out in a stream. Like, you want it to come out basically on this stream that I've put into the cup, and I want to make sure all of the colors go in directly on that stream. And you want to make sure the cloud covers it entirely, you know, like make a big fat ribbon going in that covers everything so that you'll have clouding on either side. And then if you twist it away from that center line. So instead of coming directly out here, it's coming out off to the side or the other side. What happens is you'll get clouding on one side, but not on the other. And, if that's what you want, if that's what you're going for, then that's how you get it. But if you do want clouding on both sides, then you've got to really hold it straight and steady. Okay. That's enough talking on that. Next up, we are going to do our Naples yellow red light. Ew, what is that? Oh, it's just plain paint globs, but I am going to twist this so we don't get it. When I went to thicken it up a little bit today and added a little bit of paint, and my paint bottle kind of farted at it. So is that good? Maybe a little more. All right. So that's good for the bottom. We're coming back to these colors. Okay. Here's my cloud mix, and I spent about 10 minutes pulling goobers out of it. My bottle of the Artist Loft white is really, really old, and I think it like goobered in my cloud mix, and I tried to get them all out, but they might still be there. So let's go on with the cloud mix next. Again, big fat ribbon, a lot of cloud mix. I can see gloops going in there. Oh, I'm so angry. Okay. A little bit more for good measure. That's what I usually do. Like, pour all my cloud mix in and then decide I need a little bit more. Okay, next up on my colors list, we'll move the cloud over again, is my burnt umber. Good amount of burnt umber. Then let's see, I think we're going to go back to do we want to do the milk chocolate or the dark chocolate? The medium chocolate. So many colors. Yeah, we'll go with this one. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . right, slop bucket, chill out. Got my like paint mixing stick falling out. I mean, let's just, you know, put it all in there. You are a beautiful slop bucket. You are inspirational to this piece. Thank you. All right, slop bucket number 1, or I guess that was the original slop bucket, is now gone. Okay, what are we going to do next? Probably the buff, I'm imagining, yeah? And then maybe more cloud. All right, so buff going in. Excellent. Then we'll do the rest of my cloud mix. I really hope this is not too chunky. Come on, cloud, don't be chunky. I can't see gloobs. That's so sad. All right, I'm gonna scrape out the rest of this container just so we're not wasting it. And we'll make sure to wash this. And then next time, before we put in the Artist Loft White, we are going to strain it. Because nobody wants gloobs. If they ruin my painting, I'm gonna be mad. But I noticed it when I was watching some of my painting videos while I was editing them, that I could see chunks coming out. Ooh, and that makes me mad. Okay, so that was cloud. Probably some more burnt umber, I would imagine. Let's go in with that. I'm getting toward the top. I am going to do some of my slop bucket because it's slop. Then we'll probably have a bunch of it left. Man, that's a good color though. Ugh, I love slop bucket. Okay, so we are all set with our cup. It's basically ready. We're just going to get out the canvas. I'm going to probably pour some of this slop bucket paint down and brown down just to fill up the canvas so we can flow a little bit better. And yeah, I will be right back. I will get you at a better angle. All right, I think we're going down with some burnt umber in the center to spread around because that's the one I have the most of. So it is what it is. Okay. So the moment of truth. This is always the most nerve-wracking part. Like, did I do everything right? Am I holding the cup right? Ah, okay. So as usual, I will probably not talk during this part. Maybe I'll speed it up for you so it's not quite so slow. Wish me luck. Make sure we're coming out straight. Okay. Well, okay, we know there are at least several enormous gloobs in there, which I am guessing I'm going to find when I'm tilting. Hopefully I can get them out without ruining it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So I'm going to torch this and then we're going to let it sit while I clean up some of my mess and get ready to pour. I might put a little bit of flow extender around it like while I'm letting it sit, but looks like we have some really good clouding starting. So this is promising. Okay, it's time to stretch it out. So let's talk about what we're doing first. That way maybe I can just fast forward this a bit for you. So first I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to get it closer to all of the corners. And then I'm going to pick a corner and go off, bring it back to the center, pick a corner and go off, bring it back to the center until I've stretched it out over all four corners. It does take a bit of time and it's not super fun to watch, although I do find it satisfying when it's sped up to watch that paint kind of go everywhere. So I'm going to try and preserve as much of the circular shape as I can. There's only so much you can do when you're on a square canvas though. So and you'll notice, see, I did get clouding on both of the sides of the color because I held my cup straight the entire time and didn't tilt it off to one side and didn't screw up the angle I was pouring at. So yay me, it worked. You know, things I'm learning as I'm going along. Okay, so we're going to stretch it out a little bit and then pick corners and start going off. And I have to be honest, I am quite looking forward to the slop bucket here because it's going to be so brown. All right, so let's get going. Okay, so when I'm picking a side to go off first, I think, well, what's the stuff that I like the least? I see the blue. Do you see how it's like making the, it's making everything go scrumply. So let's see if I can fish it out without ruining the whole painting. You are a big chunk. I got you, you little jerk. It was trying to ruin my painting. I'll show you. All right, so hopefully I'll notice. I know there was a bunch of bloobs, but that one was a serious problem. Okay, so I will try and keep my eyes out for anything going scrumply because it's probably the result of a bloob. Okay, so I pick what I like the least and get rid of it first and kind of go from there. In this piece, I don't know, I kind of like everything. The only thing that I'm not really sold on is down here, like all of these, the layers are really, really close together. The striations are really close together and they'll look much better if they're stretched out a bit. So I think I'm probably going to go down towards that corner first. The best way to do this is to make sure it's all the way wet first, instead of, you know, kind of leaving it to chance. So I am going to try and spread some of this paint out, at least just to get it all the way wet to the edge because I don't want it sticking. I just want it to kind of go over without fighting too much. So all right, that's that one. So let's go for it. Let us go down to, is it this edge I want to do? Yeah, I think so. All right. Okay, I am tempted to keep on futzing with it, but honestly, I really, really like it. Like, I like the light browns and I like the dark browns and I like the way they're swirling together. I like the clouding. I like it all. I like everything about it. So I am going to clean up some of my mess, or at least clean up my hands so I can get this canvas up on stands and take you in for a close-up. So hang on just a second.